Oh, no sound. Okay, let's see. Well, do we have sound? Maybe we have sound. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me now? Oh, it's still not working? Okay. 1 second. No sound. Okay, 1 second. One second. Oh, we have sound now? Are we good? Let me check on my end just to be sure. One second. Let's see. I'm going to check it on my end just to be sure. You good? It's fine? Okay, cool. I won't even mess with it then. Awesome. Yay. That's so weird because last time, right, my camera wouldn't come up. It took me forever. And then now my sound, but I haven't touched anything. I promise. I haven't even been over here today. I am not going to. Okay, cool. Thank you, Carol. Hey, Ren. Hey, DKM905. Big Mikey. Hey, Steven. I hope you guys have had a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope you did something nice for yourself. You know what? That's what I forgot to add to my video today. And just in case you guys didn't see the video that I put out earlier today, I am going to touch on one thing that I put in there. And then I do want to talk about some of the 429 stuff. And I want to find out reasons. I want us all to think of reasons why the 429 vehicle could not be Ethan and Xana. So ponder on that for a moment because we'll touch on that kind of last. Oh shit, I just hit it. Okay. So everything is alleged in our opinion only. And let's get started, I suppose. I'm going to share my screen really fast. I just want to show you guys where earlier today I put out a video and it had Brian Koberger's little fin here on his car, like the antenna. It had that in there, but I zoomed in on it and it was this mattress here in the background. So I want to make sure that you guys can completely see this mattress in the background where I found the stain, because if you look at it this way comparatively, that knife stain, well, to me, it looks like a knife stain anyways. It could very well not be, right? We're not always right. But to me, it looks like a knife stain. And in my opinion, this is Kaylee and Maddie's mattress. And to me, that looks like a knife stain. It's like the perfect shape of a knife. But comparatively size-wise to this antenna on his car, that's why it caught my attention, because size-wise, it fits as well. So it very well. Hey, Scala, good to see you. I do have a Cash App and a Venmo. It should be in the description box of this. No, I don't have Venmo. Sorry. I have PayPal and Cash App. Yeah, thank you, Bianca. God, girl, I don't know how you do it, but you are so fast with every single thing. I appreciate you so freaking much. So yeah, in my opinion, this stain back here on this mattress that I put in my video earlier today is from a knife. I'm going to grab a snip of it real quick so we can zoom in. I just wanted to show you everything I did to get to where I found what I think is a knife stain. So I'm just going to zoom in, grab a snippet. I'm going to copy it real quick. I know you guys can't see this. 1 second. I'm going to share a different screen. I'm going to see on my screen. Let me put this in an untitled. And there we go. All right, let me share this one now. There we go. All right. Let me get rid of this. I wonder, how do I make this a full page? Oh, there we go. So I'll show you right here. Oh, hey, make a mark. Oh, no? Okay. Let me, I want to edit this real quick. Okay. So I'm going to just quickly add my pen to draw around this here, I believe, is the outline of a bloody knife. Can you see that? There we go. Let me make it bigger now. To me, that looks like a knife. Isn't that crazy? Hey, Miss Potts. Oh, no. Somebody said, Miss Potts, did they say, Miss Potts, are you getting better? Are you good? Yes. Were you sick, Miss Potts? Girl. Ugh. It's been so bad. I hope you did not catch it. It is awful. I hope none of you have caught it. You see a footprint? Have you looked at this like that already, Miss Potts? I feel like it looks like a knife to me. And the reason why I feel like that, let me back out and I'll show you why I think it looks like a knife to me. Because right here looks like where like the hand or what's that thing called that stops the knife or stops your hand from sliding onto the knife? That's what that looks like right there to me, this area. Obviously it probably didn't just lay there. I'm sure it, moved a little bit and stuff, but right here looks like that stopper thingy. And then down here looks like where a bunch of red fluid would be on the bottom of the handle. And then I just clearly see a point just right here. And that's why I think that. So, I mean, obviously we don't get it right. We could be wrong and it very well could be something else. I just also saw size-wise to this antenna here could be fitting, right? But yeah, Miss Potts, I hope you I hope you did surgery. Okay. Well, I hope you are on the mend, girlfriend, because you are the sweetest and I wish you nothing but health. Good health and good happiness. Okay? So, as a directive from Bronx, he said, "Ma'am, please get better." So yeah, that is the stain that I found that I really think right here looks like the point of a knife, the bottom of the knife, and the little stopper area in the middle where it stops your hand. And what's interesting also, I think, is some of these other stains that I haven't really seen anybody like deep dive into these stains. So I might take a look at some of these other ones. Another thing I wanted to point out here is these two dots very well could be red fluid stains. I'll make a mark where I see the dots right here and right here. Very well could be red fluid stains, right? I mean, that would be Occam's razor, probably. But I did question because this mattress has covering over it right now. So we're not seeing like the actual front of the mattress, obviously. Has a covering over it. So I'm wondering if beneath the covering on the top of the mattress, are those two red fluid dot stains, or could they possibly be holes in the mattress, maybe from a pew pew? I kind of thought that if a pew pew had gone through the mattress, it would be like more exploding with, like foam and whatever your mattress is made of. And that's why I thought maybe it was just red fluid stains. But because of the shape of them, you never know. And we can't see under this cover. I figured if it was a pew pew, we'd be able to see, at least some of the impact of the gun or the bullet and have you see some of that foamy type stuff from the mattress. So I lean towards red fluid dots, but again, you never know. I am absolutely fully convinced that there was a pew pew used in this case without a doubt anymore. I didn't really have much doubt, but if there was anything lingering, y'all, it's not anymore, So yeah, that is this little stain I found a couple days ago that I wanted to share with y'all. You think so? Yeah, I do too. I figured it would be, just red fluid stains. But in this case, you never freaking know. Pew, 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 pew. All right. We still have never been given proof of where the sheath was. I feel like they've had excellent chances to prove their points and to prove their case and to prove they did a great job, collecting evidence and doing their job as police officers, law enforcement. Jesus, what's wrong with me? And all the three-letter agencies, right? But it seems like the pieces of information or pieces of evidence that we would need in this case to say, "Hey, yeah, you guys might have the right person, who knows, because you're right, the sheath." They don't show it to us. They don't give it to us. This whole thing is completely asinine, we know that. But, no, we've never gotten proof that there even is an actual sheath and that it's not the sheath that they bought on Amazon. You know, Speaking of that, we know that in the documents it stated that they took their Ford Fusion undercover police vehicle and they tested it in the same camera and everything. How do we know that the suspect vehicle they show us and keep saying a suspect vehicle, how do we not know that it was just them filming their own vehicle and splicing it into the video footage they put out like it was evidence? I'm not saying they did, but at this point, we don't know either that they didn't. We don't know that that's suspect vehicle, especially now seeing the whole fog light deal. Crazy. So what I want to do is let me get rid of some of this stuff. My other question before I get into this WSU stuff, and we're not going to do the whole thing because it's 126 pages. I just want to make sure it's known and proven over here that there's a whole crap ton of lies in here. And hey AR, how are you? Yes, we are on the mend. We are definitely on the mend. I hope you are doing well and everything is good over there. You guys have all your health and good standings because it's going around, man. It's going around. You're in Wisconsin, Steven? Why do I feel like I didn't know that? No, maybe I did. But yeah, so wait, I wanted to say one thing and now I can't remember where I was going. Oh, the front door being open as well. I'm pretty much convinced that somebody was lying in wait in the house. My question is the front door being open, like the neighbor stated, from 8 in the morning till 11 in the morning, both approximates. Now, could that have been left open by whoever was driving the Ford Explorer that hung up their keys? Or was that left open by a suspect, a perpetrator? Or was it left open by the roommates cleaning? At this point, we don't know. But now I have a new thought process on the 429 vehicle and the front door being open. Could it possibly be somebody else driving the 429 vehicle, the Ford Explorer, hanging up their keys? Maybe a Hunter Chapin, maybe even a Hunter Johnson. We don't know because his roommate said they weren't even for sure if he was in there. Hunter Johnson said he came out and locked the front door, but the friends he had in his living room said they never saw him come out. So, I don't know. I don't know who's driving the 429 vehicle, but I do definitely want to talk about it today. So, again, think on that and think of reasons why the 429 vehicle could not be Ethan and Xana driving the vehicle home because the keys were hanging up. So somebody came inside and hung up the keys. Broccoli Rob, you're in Wisconsin? No way. I'm very, very close to Wisconsin. Very close. Matter of fact, if you guys know where Beloit is or South Beloit, I moved here from South Beloit, which is walking distance to the border of Wisconsin. So I'm not far from you guys. All right, guys. Let me share this one. We are on Julez's Google Drive right now. She very nicely gave us a Google Drive and put some highlights in here. So not much work that I had to do. So I appreciate that so much from her. So this is the WSU lawsuit. The first thing I want to say about this, and I've said this prior, but I've only said it one time. So just in case anybody missed it, wouldn't it be freaking amazing? 1 second. Miss Potts says, didn't Gower say the Explorer was in the driveway already when he dropped the girls off? I don't remember all of Gower's statements. I'm sure if you're saying that, then you, Miss Potts, definitely know that he probably did say that. So possible, very, very possible. Could it have left and come back? I don't know. I always did have a problem with the 429 vehicle being the Explorer to begin with, just because the noise it makes, it's so rumbly. To me, it doesn't sound like an Explorer. But I know that like Pav and other people have said that, things can be messed with on that to make it louder or whatever. I'm not sure. To me, the tail lights look like the Ford Explorer tail lights, so I don't know. I really don't know. We don't always get it right? I don't know. Gower could have said that, but in my opinion, Gower lied about several different things as well. So who knows? And if he's a regular dropping them off and picking them up, maybe he got it confused. I don't know. Again, it also could have left and came back. But again, it also could have been there and never left. We don't, at this point, we don't know. I'm kind of just going off of what we have really with it. The tail end lights look like it to me. And it did, that vehicle pulled into 1122 because you can tell from the reflection on the other houses in the video. So who knows? Do not know. Yeah, you can, right, Steven? That's what I thought. You can add stuff and make a car sound however you want to make it sound, really. Who knows? Who knows? With the Sculla says, with the timing advance record, Cy Ray places BK elsewhere. He can't be in both places at the same time. You are absolutely correct. And then again, he was called a conspiracy theorist in front of the entire courtroom by the judge. Didn't stand a chance. Speaking of phones, I still think it's weird. Hi, Jolie. Thank you. I'm so glad that we crossed paths and that you're here and we found each other. That's so awesome. I love this community. No way, Andalion. Oh, I think I knew that. So, Andalion, then you were in the same place as I was with Michael McKee in the arrest and everything. Maybe I'll have to get your information because we're very close to each other. We can get coffee. I'm drinking like a 97-ounce coffee right now. Should be water. That's very possible, Christina. Very possible. Maybe they left and came back. Very, very possible. I just think the whole timeline with Ethan and Xana is still so strange, especially with the DoorDash information coming out in the 354 message, that I don't believe at all. So yeah, all right, let's get into this. And again, before I get into that, I'm going to say what I was going to say and didn't finish, is that wouldn't it be the bees freaking knees, y'all, if WSU was like, oh, hell no, you are not getting that much money from us or $1 from us. So why don't we prove with our criminal department that Brian Koberger didn't do this? Wouldn't that be amazing? And I swear to MF and anything, if that ends up ever happening, I know way out there, it's never going to happen. I'm just saying, if that ever ends up happening, that would be so wild, because then that would be the reason that Brian hasn't filed anything like an appeal or combating any of this in any way, shape, or form. I know he's limited, but in any way, shape, or form, um, because that would mean that then that just proves all of this was all staged and planned and yeah, right. Right. Because who wouldn't be combating this? I don't understand. But yeah, it would be crazy if WSU was like, oh, we're going to prove he didn't do it then, because we're not giving up all this money. But yeah, this lawsuit is just so ridiculous to me. And the fact that it's literally like, oh, in hindsight now, we think you should be liable. Like, what? How you can't have a hindsight lawsuit, a shoulda, woulda, coulda, if this would have happened, then that would have happened, and this happened, so then this happened. You can't do like a domino effect type of lawsuit in this instance, I don't think. I would be strangely surprised if they got anything from this, depending on what they have to fight this, right? To defend themselves. It's just so stupid. Oh, interesting. Christina says, thinking if they were driving the SUV, then yeah, that truck was seen then twice. Huh. Wouldn't it, girl? Wouldn't it? And thank you, because I use some of your stuff. So thank you. I very much appreciate it. I tagged you in the description, but I'm going to put video credits and stuff in there when I jump off this live. So just wanted to thank you, girly. We love your content. Very possible, Jolie. Yeah, very possible that it was driven by Hunter and Macy Chapin. Although I think she was in bed, but it still could have been Hunter. So when I picture this, in all honesty, initially I picture it being driven by Hunter Chapin. I picture him going in, hanging up the keys, seeing what happened and hightailing it out of there, literally just running out of there. That's what I picture, because for some reason I also can't get out of my head the next day him walking up and he's using two different phones. Both of them are in his pockets. So he's using one. Shoot, I just knocked the mic. He's using one and then he pulls out another one and starts using that. And I just always found that so incredibly strange. It could be somebody else's phone, but I don't know. He's using both of them. I don't know why I find that strange. It's not really connected to anything. It could mean nothing, but I just keep that in my head rent free for some reason. I have no idea. So if it was driven by Hunter Chapin, in my opinion, he did go in the house and he did see what happened already. He already knew. To me, the fear in this town is just so incredibly strong. One more thing I do have to say. One second. One more thing I do have to say that let me put my face on the screen so you guys aren't watching nothing. Where did I go? There we go. Real quick. There is a case that is fairly local to me. It is pretty well known. It's not like a super big case or national case or anything like that, but it's been on large channels, news outlets. It's known. It's very close to me. Andalion, you might know what case I'm talking about. I'm not going to say the name of it, just maybe yet. Anyways, I will never touch that case. And in the area I live in, nobody talks on that case, and it's not solved, and everybody knows who did it. And nobody talks on it, and I won't touch it because of the fear of retaliation of the person who did it and their family, who they're related to, and law enforcement, who is very intertwined with the players in that case. I will never speak on that case because they would ruin my effing life. uh, officers would be all over my butt and my make sure that I don't have a life anymore and probably plant things and probably. So, with that being said, there's a local case here that I will never speak on because of that. So, in a sense, I understand why people maybe in the area don't speak on it, why maybe somebody wouldn't fight the charges brought against them because of fear of the players involved in this case. I just want to say that because the case I'm talking about, no, sir, no, ma'am, I will never talk about it. Never. Not even if the person is ended up being put into jail and charged. I still wouldn't talk on it because of the officers that are entwined in the case. Nope. So it's a Northern Illinois case. Very, very blonde girl um, was unalived by her significant other. I think that's all I'll say. Yeah, I would honestly, I would love to do videos on other cases here and there, even if it's shorts or yeah, go ahead and email me. I have some emails I need to get back to as well, so I'll be digging in there. If you, yeah, want to send it to me, absolutely. I do want to get into talking about some other things, but to be honest, I will never back away from this case ever, 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 unless he's finally freed. Then I'll step away. Until then, no, we will keep digging on this one. But I would love to talk about other stuff, other cases, make videos on them. Yeah, absolutely, especially smaller ones. I like the smaller ones that don't get that much attention. So let's get back into the lawsuit. Again, it's a hindsight lawsuit. It's effing insane. Uh, Miss Potts says something that I have always wondered, and I don't think I ever got the answer to it. Were there transfer from the first to so Miss Potts says it doesn't make sense to me forensics wise that victim 1 male DNA wasn't transferred to victim 2 and victim 1 and 2 M&K to victim 3 and on and on and on and on, right? So Miss Potts, I obviously was gone for a little bit. Was that basically proven that there wasn't transfer, right? Because Kaylee would have Maddie's transferred onto her. Xana would then have Maddie's and Kaylee's transferred onto her. And then Ethan would have everybody transferred onto him if the same weapon was used. And if that didn't happen, then to me, that proves that more than one more than one weapon, which I already think that that's pretty much how it was. Has it been proven that that didn't happen? Hey, Pumpkin. I use Restream. I do pay for it, but I use Restream. It's much cheaper though. I think it's like $19 a month, but I use Restream now. And I haven't had any problems with Restream. I agree, Mandy. Mandy says, Miss Potts, I think they were unalived by different people throughout the night. I definitely agree with that. Um, another issue I have is Xana's room. The red fluid seems to be fresher to me, a lot fresher. I don't know if it's because of the amount, but to me, my opinion, it just looks fresher, or more fresh. Which to me also went around with possibly the 429 vehicle being Ethan and Xana driving it, them coming in a little bit later and being unalived later, which would make their blood, red fluid more fresh, right? I felt like that went with it too. Who, me? Charles says, does anyone think that this chick looks a lot like Hillary Clinton? Me? I'll have to go look now. That's hilarious if you're talking about me. I surely hope not. That is so funny. Oh, I know. Hate this case, but can't give it up, right? Hate this case, but can't give it up. Ugh. I'm looking for, right, then it would be technically like 2 different crimes. I don't know why that's what I picture. I picture a whole thing going on upstairs and a whole thing going on downstairs on the 2nd floor, but different like completely different perps, different weapons, different everything. And now I'm starting to think that the time was much different as well. It's hard to ignore the noises we hear at 1 in the morning. It's hard to ignore that stuff. It's hard to ignore that scream at 2:27 from the mail, right? It's hard to ignore that. So, and I think that that's what leads a lot of us to thinking something had to have happened then as well. Was this a drawn out event? Did it not happen super fast? Big Mikey. Oh, thank you. And yeah, Momos, you're right. One crime of passion, the other crime of opportunity. Fits it if you take Brian Koberg out of the picture completely, which I'm at the point where honestly, when I talk about this case and when I am digging for truth and we're all talking about it and stuff, I don't necessarily I'm not necessarily thinking of Brian Koberger in that moment either. I'm more so thinking of just the truth for the case, for the victims in general. Yeah, it's horrific that somebody is possibly in prison that didn't do this. That's also horrific. I would love to do things to fight for him. But when I think of this case and when digging for information, I'm not necessarily thinking of Brian Koberger himself. Obviously, I think he shouldn't be there and should probably be freed and should have a chance to actually fight this. This should have gone to trial. Absolutely, 1,000%. I think most cases should go to trial. I think they should be proven. Even if the person says that they did it, false confessions exist as well. I don't know. Just so you know, you guys, I have FOIA'd the FBI for tons of stuff, but I just keep getting denied, just so you know. I FOIA'd a lot of stuff with ISP, Moscow. I have a bunch of stuff out there. I'm sure I'll be denied, but just in case, I want to let you guys know, while I was sick, I was putting in a crap ton of FOIAs, tons of them. So, but yeah, I actually did get a response from the FBI for a couple of them that I was denied. And the reason I was denied was because the interviews I was asking for, they're interviews with people that are still alive and for privacy. Like, what? When I'm have noise in the background in my house with whatever I'm doing, I have interviews of people from cases, whether it was the perpetrator, whether it was a friend, a witness. None of them are redacted. They're on the TV. People FOIA them and get them all the time. Why in this case? Why is it just this case we're not allowed to get interviews of people that are witnesses? I don't understand. And then they're redacted when they are given. It's wild. I've never seen this before. Carol, yeah, they gave me the reason the FBI gave me was privacy. It interferes with a living being's, privacy. I can show it to you. I have to take off all my personal information on it though. So I'm not going to pull it up just yet, but yeah, I can maybe show it to you guys just so you know what it looks like from the FBI when it comes back. Denied. We know, I personally believe, it's just my opinion, that we know they hung up the keys because there's a picture of the keys. They're in the video. They're hanging up they're hanging up in the next to the door. There's a pink thing lanyard that has a set of keys, and there's a black Idaho lanyard that has a set of keys. And the black one, if you zoom in on it, I just Googled Ford Explorer, the year of the Ford Explorer key fob, and when you pull it up, it's identical. I have a picture of it. It's also in my video that I made today and posted, just a pre-recorded video. So to me, it's just my opinion that those are the Ford Explorer keys, because I also Googled all the other vehicles and what their key fobs look like, and they don't look like that at all. But the Ford Explorer key fob looks identical to the one that's hanging up. And that's why I believe that we know whoever was driving it came in and hung up the keys. It's just my opinion, though. Could be wrong. Yes, that's right. When Miss Potts FOIA'd the FBI and was asking for things, she was asking Miss Potts, correct me if I'm wrong, you were asking for certain information just on Brian Koberger, wasn't it? Was it on Brian Koberger? I could be wrong. Anyways, Miss Potts FOIA'd the FBI as well, and the FBI gave her a response of, because they couldn't give her anything from anybody that was involved with WITSEC, NatSec, and confidential informants. Yeah. She wasn't asking for anything on WITSEC or confidential informants or anything along those lines. What a strange response that is to get. It's basically telling you that something to do with this case is involving WITSEC, NatSec, or confidential informants, right? Wild. Ms. Potts says she asked for what they did for Brian Koberger and IGG, acting as an agent of the state. And they came back with, because we can't give you anything on WITSEC, confidential informants, or NatSec. That is wild. That's a wild response. For them to even give that response, I feel like is, first of all, it's super telling. But I'm surprised they would give a response like that instead of just saying, we don't have that information, or whatever lie they'd come up with. So yeah. All right. I'm going to get to this. We'll just go over a little bit of this. I just want to make a few points of how ridiculous this is. How ridiculous. So they're saying WSU brought Brian Koberger to Pullman, Washington, to serve as a teaching assistant in the criminal justice and criminology department, while he also worked to obtain a PhD with a study focused on sexually motivated burglars and serial killers, which is interesting. It's interesting they put that in here, I feel like, because that was part of their defense, right? That, or the prosecution was that he was, or it could have just been on national news, mainstream media, that he was looking up awful things that had to do with SA and crimes, SA and burglary, SA and red rum, things like that, as far as his personal liking. As far as adult content, that's what he was into, SA type of content. And it just proves right here that that's literally, in that moment, that's what he was looking up for his work, for his school, for his papers, for his, all the things he had to do. That's what he was studying at that time. That's literally what he was studying. And we know that too, because of the paperwork they showed in a lot of the pictures they took of his apartment and some of his papers. It was in there as well. So, yeah. Ms. Potts says his area of study was cloud-based forensics. It was. He did have, I don't know how many papers it was in, but I believe, wasn't there at least one paper or two something that he was writing on essay and crime, things like that? I want to say that I read that. Could be wrong. Not always right. That's okay. Let's see. It says on November 13th, 2022, a foreseeable and in fact predictable. So hold on. So you can sue somebody because they believe another entity should be psychic? You should have known that this. How then are there not lawsuits for bajillions of dollars all over the place for every crime committed? Oh, your work should have known this person was like that. Your family member should have known this person. How are we not just going sue happy and suing everybody for everything that's done because, well, you should have known, right? You should have been able to tell. Come on. Wild. Stop it. I believe that too. If they had all this evidence of stalking at WSU, surely they would have brought it into the case. And they said there was no evidence of stalking. They would have had included any of this from WSU. Absolutely. You're absolutely right on the money. Yeah, Miss Potts says they're exaggerating in the lawsuit to make it sound like he was consumed with sexually motivated crimes. Of course, they're in a lawsuit. Yeah, they're gonna make him sound as awful as possible, right? It's kind of like when you charge somebody with a crime, you upcharge them, so eventually they'll either plea out to something a little bit less. You just want something to stick. I feel like that's what they're doing here, but I still think it sounds absolutely ridiculous. You should have been psychic. You should have. Come on. It says WSU enabled Brian Koberger over a period of months to stalk his victims and plan and commit these heinous red rums. Well, again, there's no evidence of stalking per Bill Thompson, per Idaho State Police, per FBI. He had a history of addiction, had been arrested for theft, and had made numerous posts over a period of years on public online forums commenting about his inability to feel emotions and crazy thoughts. I wonder if you go to sue somebody or any, you can use their social media and things like that, but at what point, I don't have Facebook anymore, but when I used to, I would post like dumb stuff that had nothing to do with me, but if you didn't know me, you might think I was talking about myself. Can you use that? Because couldn't he just say like, I mean, I was asking for a friend, right? Like he had been removed from a vocational program in high school because of problems with women. And later, a local business owner had become so alarmed at his behavior towards young women that Steph kept electronic notes about him to warn other staff. But you didn't call the police. I mean, my neighbor's weird, right? But I don't think he's going to go unalive somebody. I mean, so now that I've said out in public that my neighbor's weird, if he goes and unalives somebody, could they come after me because I didn't stop it? Because I just said he was weird? Like, you know what I'm saying? It can't be a shoulda, woulda, coulda. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't, it's not okay. It says Koberger's supervising instructor, however, was concerned that removing him from employment at WSU would open the university up to a civil lawsuit from Koberger himself. In 2022, WSU undertook an investigation of improper sexual activities by the WSU police force involving allegations that an officer had sex with a victim in the presidential suite of the Martin Stadium and the WSU Observatory while on duty, and that WSU Police Department leadership did not properly report the incident. They ultimately found that the police department leadership exhibited gross misconduct, incompetence, and neglect of duty in response to claims of sexual misconduct. In August 2022, the police chief, assistant chief, and captain all resigned prior to facing discipline for their actions. Well, it sounds like there's more so a problem with the police department than there is Brian Koberger. The offending officer engaged in predatory grooming behavior while in supervisory role and had a history of sexual misconduct, and that the WSU Police Command fostered an environment that discouraged reporting sexual misconduct. That there was repeated stalking by this officer. Over a period of months, there were 4 victims. Oh, they're talking about Brian now. Okay, that Brian was repeatedly stalking. And over 4 months, there were 4 victims that he ultimately murdered on November 13th. He didn't stalk at all. How can they put repeatedly stalking? Repeatedly stalking? Koberger's search history also revealed internet searches about psychopaths, paranoia, adult content involving non-consent. His searcher's history included research on serial killers. I mean, of course it did. That was his job. That was what he was going to school for. That was his job. This is crazy. Repeatedly stalking. It's got all of their names, right? So the parties are Gonsalves, Laramie, Kernodle, Chapin. Again, with the stalking, more stalking. I mean, there's so much stalking in here. It's insane. Absolutely insane. They're saying that there's a that there's in their policy that it prohibits stalking. Just so much stalking in here. I know that somewhere in here, Jesus, surveilling them. I know in here, it said that that those were his hands on the window, which is interesting to me because when the cop walked up, the first thing he said was, those are really small hands, which I hope they use. I hope they use that kind of stuff in this lawsuit. I really want to know what WSU is going to come back and say. I cannot wait to find out their responses. There's a lot of stuff in here about officers having stalking behavior and SA. Absolutely, Pumpkin. Do those complaints have any paper trail dated at all before the crime? I would like to see them. Yep, I sure would. Did any of the students tell their parents or family? And at that point, if there were students that were telling other people, then could you sue them? Because they knew too. I understand that it's WSU, right? They're a big entity and they're the ones who you would go after. I get that. You wouldn't go after one person because they possibly knew. Well, you also wouldn't get any money out of that person either, though. My question is, at what point is WSU more responsible than ISU? How is WSU more responsible than ISU? How come ISU didn't protect their students? How come they had officers in the area that night that saw people hanging out behind their house or next to their house, right? They had an officer in that area, 2 officers at least in that area, and they didn't know? They couldn't combat this crime and protect their students? I'd be going after ISU before I'd be going after WSU. But it tells me something that they don't want to go after ISU at all. They're not going to go after that university, right? The involved university. Huh. Interesting, right? Didn't ISU have a duty to protect their students, especially when there's officers outside their house at the time of the crime? Wouldn't you sue the police department though, or at least those officers that were outside at the time of the crime because they failed to protect? They knew there were people outside and they should have known those people were going to commit a crime. Stop it. Do you see how that sounds? You can't do shoulda, woulda, coulda, but hey, the last 24. You can't do shoulda, woulda, coulda, but how come ISU and those officers that saw people outside of the house aren't aren't being, looked at or taken to court or sued or anything, because they could have known just as much as WSU would have known. This is just wild to me. Absolutely wild. You have more officers grooming than you have Brian Koberger doing anything wrong. I understand if you think he's weird. I understand if you think that he doesn't fit in socially. But that's about the extent of the issues with him, in my opinion. I wasn't there. I don't know. I didn't feel what these females felt, and they could be validated, completely. I don't know. But the way I see it, the way I look at it, it's autism. And I think that this is ridiculous. I don't know. And I could be completely wrong for not siding with women that felt like he was offending them, I guess. But in my opinion, he didn't touch any of them, right? He didn't physically assault anybody or touch anybody. He didn't I think the most he did was try and block somebody from exiting the door because he was engaged in conversation and probably wanted to continue talking. So in his mind, he thought that's how to continue the conversation because he was very engaged in it. That to me says autism rather than psycho stalker unaliver. And I very much could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. I just wanted to find the part where, is there any history of any other crimes happening on any other campus in the United States where they sued the campus for because they needed to be psychic and know that something was going to happen? Now I'm curious and I'm going to look it up. It's not. You're right. You're absolutely right. It is not a crime. Raise Your Vibration said it's not a crime to be weird or awkward. It's not a crime to have autism. It's not a crime to be interested in women and want to have conversations with them. It's not a crime. It's not a crime to go into the same coffee shop because you like the coffee or you like the coffee server. You can do that. It's not a crime. It's not a crime to hire a person that has autism. I'm sure if any of the people he worked for or around thought there was a problem, he would have been fired. He wasn't fired. I understand that's why there's the lawsuit, but he wasn't fired because he didn't do anything wrong, because they couldn't find anything that he did that was wrong enough to fire him. That's an interesting thought, Sydney says. Sydney says, remember the house was the target? I do remember that. What if it was Washington State University versus University of Idaho feud turned organized crime takedown of rival? She says, LOL, I don't know why I have a feeling Scott Green related. I do too, in my opinion, that he is involved some way, somehow, that he is the Mason, the Freemason that runs everything there, right? I'm curious what WSU financials look like in 2022, because if you remember, ISU's financials were bad. They were bad. They needed money so bad. And then after this crime, they had so much money, they didn't know what to do with it, that they wanted to purchase another college. They wanted to purchase University of Phoenix because now they had so much money after this crime happened. The house was torn down for a reason, guys. And I know you guys know that, right? I just wanted to get to the part. It's a really long lawsuit. We don't have to go over everything. Again, it's just so much. If you look at the verbiage, everything is sexually motivated. Everything is stalking. Everything is, look, Koberger would stare at students weirdly during class, making students uncomfortable. So freaking what? That's not a crime to look at people. His coworkers believed he was an incel or involuntarily celibate and was sexually frustrated. What does that have to do with literally anything? It wasn't a sexually motivated crime. None of this has anything to do with what happened. This lawsuit and the verbiage in it does not correlate with the crime that happened. There was no sexual assault in the crime. So how can you even, how does that relate? I don't get it. This is wild to me. Yeah, someone sure did have to pay for that new courthouse. In my opinion, he was the one being stalked. If anything, it doesn't matter what your sexual preference is. It doesn't matter if you're an incel or not, which I don't feel like he was. Wasn't he seen on camera at the grocery store the next morning after the crime with a female? He was talking to a female. So he's not that much of an incel. The students filed complaints with the goal of documentation. Just because you don't like somebody or they stare at you doesn't make it a crime. And that doesn't mean that that person's going to go commit a crime either. It's wild. This is wild to me. I can't stand this. Ugh. He's offended several of our female students with his words. Okay. But yeah, in this, there was a white car leaving the On another occasion, a female heard someone on her porch in the evening. Her husband came home and saw a white car leaving the area. Brian Koberger drove a white car. Both occurrences were in August or September. What? Do you know how many people drive white cars? You can't just say there was a white car, so it had to be. So Brian Koberger now drives every white car in the area within a 50-mile radius? Stop. And that he was on an improvement plan. But I felt like that was more so he was on an improvement plan because of how harshly he graded. I felt like that was part of it. During Koberger's attendance at his training, WSU staff observed him sitting at the back of the room with his hands behind his head, staring at the ceiling. That's so funny. Oh, that's so funny. Well, now because he doesn't pay attention, he's being sued. Stop it. Or not him, but WSU because of him. Anyways, in this document, it states that Brian Koberger's hands, they state in here that his hands are the hands that are on the window at 1122 and that he was stalking them, staring into the window, looking at them. How inaccurate. It was literally proven by Idaho State Police and law enforcement in this case that they weren't his hands, that was not his handprints because they were so small. Ugh, how freaking annoying. All right. I was going to go over Kopacka's body cam. It's old. I'll show it to you and show you what it looks like if you do want to watch it. We are going to go over it probably in the next live. I just want to show you a few things in it, but I will share my screen and just show you who's I'm looking at here. And it's a creator by the name of Sonia D-E-E, Sonia D-E-E. And it is, this is Brent Kopacka's, and it's crazy if you haven't seen it. I just saw it today for the first time because Devil's Advocate posted it, and I hadn't actually seen this before. So I was going to go over it, but I want to do something else really fast because I do have to jet here shortly. I have to go somewhere. So I'm going to replace this and share window. Where is it? Hey, where'd my window go? There it is. Here it is. Okay. So I started just an Excel doc or a Word document. Christina. Probably Fry's handprints. Probably a small man's handprints. Um, Payne. It was probably Payne's because, he's really, really small and he probably has really, really small hands. I bet you anything they're his. That's very interesting. Now it has me grinding my gears on that. I don't know if you guys can see this super well. So I just want to go over, hopefully you guys have been thinking on it. And I just want to put a few things on here as far as, can that 429 vehicle be Ethan and Xana driving it? Why or why not? Where'd it go? Hey, where'd my screen go? It went off. Oh no. Teeny weeny pain. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know what just happened, but I can't. Can you guys see this on the screen? The Word document? My Sculla, just so you know you asked about what I use, and I use Restream. Just so you know, the chat is like a little bit behind. It's like slow for some reason. So when you're using just Restream, it goes slow. But if you look at it or chat on YouTube if you're live, then it's the same. So can you guys see what's on the screen here? Can you guys see this Word document? Okay, good. Thank you. I got to zoom in. Okay. Oh, shit. I'm on the wrong thing. Hold on. Well, it's not letting me push on anything, guys. I don't know if it's because I'm sharing it and it won't let me. There we go. Does that help? It wasn't letting me zoom the other way. So I just want to make a few notes that why or why not that 429 vehicle could or could not be Ethan and Xana. What I have so far is I believe it could be Ethan and Xana driving it because of the timeline. Because of the timeline. The reason that it could be them is because we haven't gotten any information on a timeline for Ethan and Xana. And the reason we haven't gotten any information on the timeline of Ethan and Xana is because they showed up at 4:30 instead of earlier in the night. So it doesn't fit their timeline of being unalived by 4:17 or 4:20 before the suspect vehicle 1 drives away, right? If they want to say it was one person, it was Brian Koberger and that was his car, then they would all have to be deceased before his vehicle leaves at 4:20. And so them pulling up at 4:30 would show proof of life, and that wouldn't fit their timeline, which is why we have no information on Ethan and Xana, their whereabouts when they got there, when we very much could because they have their phones and it would tell us. But for some reason, they just won't give us that information or speak on it at all. So to me, that's a reason why it could be them. And that's why we don't know about their whereabouts, because the 4:30 vehicle they know was Ethan and Xana driving it. Another reason that it could be them is because Murphy was still barking at the perps that would have still been in the house at 4:29. So if Murphy was still barking at 4:29, meaning the perps were still in there, Xana and Ethan arriving at 4:30 and coming in the house means the perps were still there because Murphy was still barking. So that's when they could have been attacked. Again, if it was Brian Koberger, he would have left by 4:20. So it wouldn't fit their timeline, right? Another reason it could be them driving the vehicle is because I believe the keys were hanging up. So somebody driving the vehicle had to have come in that house and hung up the keys and either left by being picked up by somebody else or walking, or they were still in that house, meaning it could have been Ethan and Xana. Also, to me, all the red fluid explains possibly why the crime of Ethan and Xana being unalived was later than the other ones because of the red fluid spots in the hallway, meaning Xana was attacked when she was possibly walking into her room or had just gotten home in the hallway, walking into her room. Perps are still there. Murphy's barking, keys hanging up, timeline. What are some other reasons that, yes, this could be Ethan and Xana driving the 429 vehicle, or you can even give me reasons why it can't be them? I can't really think of much else other than the red fluid in Xana's room looking fresher, more fresh. We'll just say more fresh. You're right. You're right, Steven. Steven says Murphy was cowering in his spot in Kaylee's bedroom. So was he even the dog barking? Again, this case is so freaking out of whack and wild, and there's so much. We don't actually know if that was Murphy barking. It could have been another neighborhood dog. I like to think it was Murphy, right? I want to think it was Murphy, but oh, thank you, Bianca. Bianca gifted a membership. Thank you so much. We love you so, so much. Inside Your Bones got the gifted. So sweet. Thank you so much. You are so appreciated. Anybody? It sure could be the extra key. Did you see I'll show it one more time. Let me, I will show it one more time. Give me 2 seconds. Let me share this screen. This is why I think that it is their key hanging up, because this is the key that's hanging up. I took a screenshot of it. I just flipped it the other way around. And what I did was I just Googled Ford Explorer key fobs, and this is what I came up with. This is what popped up. It was in the first or second row of pictures when I Googled it. I did Google all the other cars and their key fobs and what they look like, and not even close. This is very, very similar to me. It's not identical, but it's very, very similar. The bottom shape of it, the colors, where the buttons are located. The other ones looked absolutely nothing even close to this. I looked up all of the cars. So that's why I feel like the keys up for the Ford Explorer are hanging up. So it was either somebody who walked in there, saw what had happened, and left walking, which I don't know why you wouldn't just grab the keys and drive the car away, or it was driven by Ethan and Xana, and they hung up the keys, walked upstairs. Somebody was lying in wait and attacked when they came home. I'm not saying it was immediately when they walked upstairs or walked in the door. They obviously, possibly had time to put down their food and whatnot, unless somebody else picked up their food, right? Because I don't believe that text message to DoorDash is from Ethan and Xana. I just don't. I felt like they were more intoxicated than that. But it could have been, and they could have done talk to text to send a text. Who knows? Raise Your Vibration said, my Explorer key looked like that. I used to have an Explorer. It was brand new in like 07. It did not look like this. It did not. So I definitely had to Google it, and that's what came up. So I'm glad somebody here with an Explorer said that it does look very, very similar to this. Yeah, I just Googled it. What year Ford Explorer? I wanna say it's like a 8 18 to 20, I think I put in, like 2018 to 20, or I think I put like 2018 to or 2017 to 20. I can't remember what I Googled. It was something like that. I had to look up the year and now I don't remember what it was. In the documents, I believe it says the year of the vehicle because I had to find it somewhere. So I looked that up and then I Googled the year. But you can put in, I mean, gosh, just put in 2018 or 2020 or 2015. I mean, I'm sure they all look pretty similar. Yeah. He says, well, clearly that's the key. It is, in my opinion, it is to the Ford Explorer. So just curious who was driving it because we, in my opinion, possibly see it pulling up at 4:30. So anybody want to put any remarks on why this could or could not be the Ford Explorer and Ethan and Xana driving it? Antibody. Well, I can't even pull my screen up now. It just blocked me. Well, not blocked me, but it's all frozen for me. They said Xana texted the DoorDash driver, "Are you having trouble finding it?" Maybe they had Molly looking for the sheath. I do think it's strange that Molly has been involved in a couple of homicides that happened in that area when nothing happens in Moscow, but you have this one person who's obviously into rugs, right? Using them, possibly selling them. That's possibly why she door dashes, in my opinion. Everything's alleged, speculation. So who knows why she was actually there? Did she have the bag of food as she was walking around the neighborhood? Because that would be stupid if she didn't. I just don't remember seeing it in her hand. That's why I'm asking. I don't know. I have to go back and watch it to see if she actually had a food bag in her hand. You know, the white car could have very well been meeting her there, right? And doing a deal. It just doesn't have to be Brian Koberger's car. It could be anybody's white car who drives an Elantra, who drives a Ford Fusion. It could also be the undercover's vehicle, right? It could also be the undercover testing their own vehicle, having it on video, because we know they did, and just dropping it in with all the other footage and acting like that's the suspect vehicle, knowing it's their own. It could have been just a vehicle meeting for a deal and speeding out of there to get away because there's an undercover vehicle there because they have cops running around in that area then, even though they were clocked out before that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Molly was at 2. Molly's husband was unalived as well, and she was right there for that one as well. And there was a whole trial on that. Oh, absolutely right, Stephen. Being a delivery driver who can be requested is the perfect way to deal. Or if you're in such a small town that there's not many drivers, or there's only one driver that works late at night because that's what they do. They put rugs in and everybody knows it. I mean, there was kind of a move like that in the show Power. I don't know if you guys or The Force, Power. They had a whole college dealing thing, and it reminds me kind of situations in this case. They made it very possible. They made millions of dollars. Not that that's what she was making, but you know what I mean? She even told the police that she was making $2 an hour by door dashing. Who would do that? Who would DoorDash all night to make $2 an hour? Unless you're doing something else to make money and make it worth it. You know, Bill is her best friend or her friend. All right, guys, I'm actually going to hop off myself. I see a bunch of people leaving, so I'm actually going to hop off myself. I got to be somewhere. What time is it? I got about 30 minutes or so. So, okay, I'm going to hop off. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bianca, for your gifted. Thank you, everybody else. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate you. I'll continue to put out pre-recordeds like I used to do. And then we will see you in the next live. More than likely will be Wednesday. I hope everybody had a wonderful Monday. Thank you all for being here. Do something nice for yourself. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your animals. Have a wonderful evening, you guys, or morning if you're Bianca. Bye, guys. I love you all so, so, so much. Thank you for being here.